Well, good morning. Jaginder Rana here. The product of the day is multimedia liability insurance. Multimedia liability insurance. These operators are governed by the Multimedia Transportation of Goods Act 1923. They are primarily liable for loss or damage to the cargo entrusted to them for transportation. The policy covers the following contingencies like cargo liability, cargo's contribution to GA, salvage charges, extra cost incurred for quarantine, fumington, debris removal, sending misdirected cargo to the correct destination, third-party liability, professional indemnity, fines and duties levied due to unintentional breach of regulations or statutory provisions, and then defense expenses are included in the limits of liability under the policy. So the multimedia liability insurance policy of insurance companies provides the coverage for these operators. Say for example, HDFC Ergo's multimedia liability insurance policy. So the policy says, in consideration of payment of the premium and subject to applicable limits of liability, policy agreed to pay that the definition of the underwriter is there, and the underwriter will pay on behalf of the insured loss as a result of any arising out of the insured's media activities, provided that the giving rise to the claim occurred during the policy period. So here the words which are important to be understood, because the application means the application attached to and forming part of this policy, including any material submitted in connection with all of which are on file with the underwriter and are part of this policy as a physically attached. Claim means any written demand for the retraction of matter published, disseminated or released by an insured, any written notice received by an insured that it is intention of any person or entity to hold the insured responsible for monetary damages or injunctive relief, any judicial, administrative or other proceedings against or any written request to toll or waive a statute of limitations relating to a potential claim against an insured. And company means the entity or individual named in the policy or declarations. Covered media means the publications, programs, broadcast or cab stations or other communications, including any special editions of supplement to or on media. Covered media also includes publications, programs, broadcast or cable stations or other communications created or acquired by or any subsidiary after the inception date of the declaration, but only with the respect of media activities occurring during the 90 days following such creation or acquisition. So there will be no coverage under this policy for media activities occurring after such 90 days period, unless the underwriter and company have agreed to such coverage upon such terms, conditions and limitations of coverage, and such additional premium the underwriter may require. Defense expenses means responsible for legal fees and expenses incurred in the investigation, defense or appeal of any claim, including the cost of appeal, attachment or similar bonds, provided that the underwriter shall have no obligation to furnish any bond. The defense expenses includes remuneration, salaries, wages, tips, expenses, overhead, or benefit expenses of any insured, except with the prior written consent of the underwriter. So first inception date means the inception date of the first multimedia liability policy issued to the company by the underwriter or an affiliate of the underwriter and continuously renewed thereafter. So any person who was or is becomes a director, an officer, or an employee, or a partner of the company, or any subsidiary, but only with respect to arising out of acts, errors, or omissions within the scope of the duties of the director, officer, or employee, or partner, in the event of the death, incapacity, or bankruptcy of an insured described in the definition, any against the estate, heirs, legal representatives, or assigns of such be deemed to be a claims against such insured. Loss means defense expenses, judgment settlement, and any damages, including punitive damages, if insurable under applicable law, pre-interest and post-judgment interest which an insured pay as a result of claim, provided the loss does not include civil or criminal fines, sanctions, taxes, or penalties, including those imposed by any federal, state, or local government body, or by other similar licensing organizations. So the multiplied portion of any multiplied damage award, matters which are uninsurable under the law pursuant to which the policy constitute, the cost of compliance with any loss other than incurred as a result of an injunction or other equitable order or judgment, or the cost of recall, correction, reproduction, or reprinting of cost of any services in connection therewith. With regard to punitive damages, this insurance shall apply to the fullest extent permitted by law. So whereas the opinion of counsel is that punitive damages are insurable under any applicable law, the underwriter shall not challenge the determination of insurability. So media activities means in connection with the actual or alleged act, error or omission आ जाइए committed in the course of and arising out of the gathering, recording, or collection of media, including but not limited to any actual or alleged invasion or infringement of the right of privacy, of publicity, including the torts of intrusion upon sanction. आ जाइए बोला Sorry for interruption. So the gathering, recording, or collection of media, including but not attributed to any actual or alleged invasion or infringement of the right of privacy or publicity, including the torts of intrusion upon seclusion, publication of private facts, false light or misappropriation of name or likeness, outrage, infliction of emotional distress or prima facie tort, false arrest, detention or imprisonment, trespass, wrongful entry or eviction, eavesdropping or other invasion of the right of private occupancy or copyright infringement, plagiarism or misappropriation of property rights, information of ideas, the publication, dissemination or release of any form, method of medium of communication, including but not limited to any actual or alleged libel, slander or any other form of defamation or harm to the or reputation of any person or entity. So invasion or infringement of the right of privacy or publicity, including the tort of intrusion upon seclusion, publication of private facts, false light or misappropriation of a name or likeness. Policy period means the period from the inception date. A related claim means all claims indirectly resulting from inconsequences of or in any way involving the same or related logically or causally facts or circumstances, situations, transactions, events or media activities, or causally series of facts, circumstances, situations, transactions, events or media activities. Renewal period means any continuous and unbroken period subsequent to the conclusion of the policy period. This policy is renewed with the underwriter or an affiliate of the underwriter. Subsidiary means any corporation created or acquired on or before the inception date. Exclusions are important from that point of view because certain risks are not covered under the policy. But for the sake of clarity, let us understand that a multimodal transport operator's insurance policy covers all means of transportation involved in a single contract, whether they be air, sea, road or rail. If you are operating as an agent for third party principals, or your MTO coverage will cover you. In the event of two or more claims, when two or more claims are attributed to the same incident or result from continuous or repeated exposure to the same or similar conditions, the limit of indemnity and deductible applicable under a multimodal transport operator policy will be applied to one claim and the claim will be paid as such. So the cost of multimodal transport or liability insurance is determined by a number of criteria, including the indemnity limit, gross revenue and the number of TEUs, that is 20-foot equivalent units supplied, because each aspect has the potential to affect overall policy premium prices. Policy premium prices, our specialist thoroughly examines all of them as well as client's requirements, means the insurer's representative will examine. To begin coverage under a multimodal transport operator liability insurance policy, following documents must be submitted: premium check, form of proposal, letter of mandatory and any further documentation required by the insurer. So no person shall carry on or initiate business in multimodal transportation unless he is registered under the Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act 1993. According to Section 3 of the Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act 1993, a multimodal transport contract is defined as a contract under which a multimodal transport operator agrees to perform or procure multimodal transportation in exchange for freight payment. So the growth of the liability insurance market is driven by several factors, including the increased number of lawsuits and greater awareness of the importance coverage. The market is also facing challenges such as the rising cost of liability insurance and the lack of standardization in policy terms and conditions. Liability insurance is a vital form of standardization of coverage. Liability insurance is a vital form of coverage that offers a wide range of applications and benefits to individuals and businesses. It safeguards against financial losses in an increasingly litigious society. But media liability insurance coverage provides libel, slander, defamation, disagreement, plagiarism, copyright infringement, invasion of policy. Some policies also cover emotional distress, false arrest, negligent supervision, wrongful entry, personal disagreement. But what is not covered is breach of contract, patent infringements, regulatory authority claims, normal business activities, data breach, criminal acts, bodily injury or property damage, securities fraud offenses, discriminatory employment practices. Okay, so this is all about the multimodal transport operators insurance.